Hi, my name is Larry McSween. I'm with My Computer Career. I'm a mentor instructor there, and today I am going to demonstrate how to disassemble a Vostro200. It's an older Dell desktop PC, and well, let's just get started. Okay, first thing we're going to do is put on a little bit of hand protection, just because I know inside computers there are a lot of sharp edges, and I don't particularly like my hands coming out like they've been in a meat grinder. Okay, also going to grab my anti-static wrist strap. Now it's not too important to have it on right now, as there's I'm not going to be touching any internal components right away. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the cabling to the external devices. This is the VGA cable. I've already disconnected the power supply or power cable. Okay. And the keyboard and mouse USB connectors. Alright. Put it on the right side so when we get to taking it apart, we'll be where we want to be. Phillips head screwdriver. To remove the Phillips head screws, there's two. I've already removed one to save a little time for the video. There's one right here, and then there's one located also there. Okay. Slides back, lifts off. Side panel has been removed. Okay. And at this point, I'm going to ground myself to the chassis of the computer so that I don't cause any static discharge. Since we'll be removing the DVD-ROM and the floppy drive, I'm going to go ahead and take off the front cover. To do so on a Vostro200, these three tabs need to be lifted up, and then it's not really on a hinge, but you can see these little clips right here. They're kind of horseshoed, so they basically push in and then clamp in. Okay. Next, we're going to remove all the cabling inside. I start with the SATA data cable. There's also a SATA data cable on my DVD-ROM. Connect it. Set them aside. Power cables, also disconnect them. I'm going to disconnect the 3.5-inch floppy drive data cable. Remove it from the motherboard. Set it aside. And the power cable to the 3.5-inch floppy drive. Okay. We also have electrical connectors on the motherboard. Don't know if you can see them real good. Get me a little handy dandy pointing tool here. Okay, I've got one right here. That is the sound connector for the front panel. USB connector. There's another USB connector. Okay, we've got one connector here, one connector there. Those are both USB. And then we have the front panel power switch and or lights. Okay, we're going to go ahead and disconnect all of those. Alright, one more connector is the motherboard power connector. It is latched, so you do have to disengage the latch right here. Okay. And we can get the cables out of our way. This one does have some cable management hold downs in the back side there. Okay. One more power connector. show it to you before I reach down there and grab it. This power connector right in right there. Okay. Again, it has a latch as well, so we'll need to disengage that latch and pull up on the cable and it will come right off. Alright. With that said, we're now ready to remove the power supply. Well, almost. On this particular case, it's much easier to remove the power supply once you have the CPU fan or cooling unit, fan and heatsink removed. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it real quick just to make it easier to get the power supply out. 4 screws and we're good. Fan power connector, this pulls right off. Okay, this is where you'll see the some of the thermal paste. Don't know if you can really make it out too good there, but we'll be cleaning that up and putting on new thermal paste. Okay, I'll go ahead and disconnect this other fan because I will be removing it as well. Typically on a power supply you'll have 4 screws. I've already removed 2 for expedience on this video. There's one here, typically one here, and one here. So we're going to go ahead and remove these. And you hear a big thump because it's going to fall. No, not really. I'm going to hold on to it. But I'm going to go ahead and get that one out. Alright. And I'm going to turn it around a little bit so I can hold the power supply up. I'll remove the remaining screw. Normally I'd do this on the side and I wouldn't have to worry about holding it up. But to show the detail, I figured it'd be better to do it this way. Okay. So now I'm ready to remove the power supply. Slide it forward, tilt it towards the motherboard, lifts right out. Set aside for reassembly later. RAM. Okay, got 4 sticks, 2 gigabytes a piece for a total of 8 gigabytes. Alright, roll them straight up. Set them on our anti-static mat over here. Alright, we're ready to remove the case fan. We'll go ahead and get that out. One screw, we've got 4 screws on it. Alright, so we've got one component left on the motherboard, and that is our NIC card right here. 1 screw, and it will be out. Okay. On the Dells they have a holder that keeps the air baffles or blank out plugs or any other peripheral cards that might be in there. Just remove that 1 screw, then it slides up. It's held in place by these 2 clips here. And I'm going to go ahead and remove all of the blank out plugs. The network interface card. It's a fast Ethernet card. And one more baffle. Alright. We've got 3 drives. 1 DVD ROM drive, 1 3.5-inch floppy, and 1 hard drive. I'm going to go ahead and remove the hard drive first. 4 screws again. Slide it out. I typically place the screws with the hard drive, that way I know which ones go in there. Floppy drive, 2 screws. Slides right out. 1 floppy drive. 2 screws for it. 1 DVD ROM drive. And you could take the motherboard out without disassembling everything. I'm just showing all of it so that you'll have an idea if you ever should have to replace any particular components in a computer. They're all pretty much the same. Usually on some they're held in by 4 screws. Just depends on the model of the case. Alright, so we've got all the drives out. The only thing left in there besides the cabling to the front panel is the motherboard. It's held in by 8 screws on this particular board. And I'm going to go ahead and take a couple of screws out. Now note that I'm going to put these two latches for the DRAM, the DDR RAM, up so you can see that there is a screw that's underneath there. Beware. Once you take all the screws out, if you're having difficulty getting the motherboard out, it means there's probably another screw or some kind of a standoff that is restraining it. So be very careful and look very closely because you don't want to damage the motherboard, especially if you've got to reuse it. Now if it's already damaged, it's not too big of a deal, but at the same time, we don't want to cause any further damage if it's going to be reused. Okay, there's 2, 3, and there's no sense that you guys have to watch me remove all 8 screws. So I'm going to pause the video for a moment and I'll be right back after I get all the screws out. Okay, and I'm back. The motherboard is now ready to come out. You're going to slide it forward slightly to disengage the VGA and audio components from the back of the case, and it comes right out. Okay. Now then, on the CompTIA test, you may need to know some things about the motherboard. Floppy drive controller, main power connector, fan power connector from the power PSU, power supply unit, central processing unit, CPU, north bridge, south bridge, SATA connections, USB connections for the front panel. This is your sound connections for the front panel. This is your power connector for the front panel for your push button. Your CMOS battery reset jumper, and then we have our PCIe 16 PCIe mini or ×1, PCI. We've got VGA video, USB 1s, don't have anything better than USB 1 on this one, Ethernet connection, and your analog audio. That's pretty much it. Alright, so in the next video we will be doing the reassembly. I'll be right back, so stay tuned for more. Bye for now.